This is Henderson's Relish. It's not a sauce, it's a relish. And what we've done is we've now taken this and we've made this represent us, the people of Sheffield.
When thinking about Sheffield, a few things come to mind. Steel, musicians and actors such as the Arctic Monkeys and Sean Bean, and this, Henderson's Relish. Over 100 years ago in this very city, Henry Henderson made his first ever batch of Henderson's Relish. Since then we've adopted it as our own. It's become a part of our culture and many even feel a sense of protectiveness over it. I wonder if Henry could have even imagined what an impact this little bottle would make for generations to come. If you took a look inside any house in Sheffield, you're almost guaranteed to find a bottle of Henderson's Relish. This bottle of goodness is a delicacy few within the city can go without, whether it's on your Sunday dinner, or your stew, your pies or your mash. It's an absolute necessity for most homes within Sheffield. When the former general manager of the Henderson's Relish factory was asked why he believed Henderson's Relish was so popular in Sheffield, he put it down to the music and the art scene. We see graffiti in Sheffield that we've also taken and made it represent us as a city. The cultural part has been more recent. Artists like Luke Horton and Pete McKee have used it as their muse, and musicians such as the Heavily Pregnant Brothers have sang about it.
And it's just not 10 no's. I came along, I wrote a song for you. I put you on this stew, and you were called and knows.
But where did it all start? At 44 Green Lane in 1885, a man named Henry Henderson made his first ever batch of relish. By 1890, Henry had opened a grocer's, with relish as just another product on the shelves. As far as legends go, apparently it was kept in a barrel and customers had to bring back the bottles to be filled. The relish was popular amongst his customers, so much so he began to be known for it. In 1899, after publishing an advert for new staff in the newspaper, he told people to contact him, the relish manufacturer. In 1910, Henry decided to retire at the age of 60. He sold his beloved business, known as Henderson's Relish, to Shaws of Huddersfield, who made jams and pickles. Enjoying his retirement with the money he made, he passed away whilst on holiday in Skegness during 1930. After this, the Henderson's family had no involvement with the business, but the new owner, George Shaw, saw its potential. However, George was no young man himself, a whole decade older than Henry. Because of this, he decided to appoint his son-in-law, Charles Hinksman, from Worcester of all places, as manager of the company, and they moved Henderson's Relish to 66 Levygreve Road, its first ever factory. In 1925, Shaws posted an advert in the Sheffield Daily Telegraph. They were in search of 1 million relish bottle labels. This was when the bright orange label with the bold black lettering that we've all come to recognise was born. As another war loomed over Europe, in the summer of 1939, Charles Hinksman's wife Miriam passed away at the age of 70. He remarried Gladys Freeman, a journalist from Sheffield, which seemed to give him the push he needed to buy the relish factory from the Shaws and made his own independent company, Henderson's Relish Limited. Despite the change, Charles made sure that his customers were reassured that the only change was in name, management and staff, and the relish itself would stay the same one that everyone had come to love. He did so by issuing a handbill. Charles retired in December 1951 and had taken Henderson's Relish from a barrel at the back of a grocer's to a successful, independent, family-run business. And by this time, sales had exceeded 1 million bottles per year. To put this in perspective, this is enough relish for every man, woman and child in Sheffield to have over a pint each. When Charles passed away, the role of chairman was taken by his wife Gladys. She made her first decision in the role and appointed her brother Harvey Freeman onto the board of directors, and the siblings ran the company for the next 30 years. In 1959, the company was also forced to move the factory from Levygreve Road. This was due to the University of Sheffield expanding. Luckily, Harvey managed to secure a new building on the same road, which was to be the new home of Henderson's Relish for the next 50 years, and still stands today. The University of Sheffield have owned the building since 2015 and submitted a planning application for the redevelopment of the Henderson's Relish factory. They've also promised to protect the look of the building, and although the sign will be taken down to be restored, it will soon be placed back above the door where it belongs. The university understands the importance of this building and the part it's played in the history of Sheffield and its culture. The economic slump of the 1970s and the concerns of the new supermarkets and changing business methods proved concerning for everyone involved. However, with Gladys and Harvey at the helm of the ship, they managed to weather every storm that was thrown at them. Gladys retired in 1982 at the age of 90, and Harvey passed away in 1985. His widow, Connie Freeman, was appointed as the director, and her nephew, Dr. Kenneth Freeman, was appointed director and secretary. In 1987, Gladys passed away at the age of 96, the end of an era. In 1991, Dr. Kenneth Freeman took over from Connie and his wife Pamela became secretary. During this time, Henderson's Relish was only sold in one local supermarket in the city, and deliveries were made in an old Land Rover van, stacked high with the bottles, and the driver would deliver the relish to independent shops around Sheffield. Kenneth and Pamela started to visit different supermarkets carrying bottles of relish, trying to entice partners. Their hard work paid off when Sainsbury's became the biggest supermarket to sell Henderson's Relish. This allowed the relish to start selling itself, and word began to spread. As mentioned before, the factory is now owned by the University of Sheffield. In 2001, the company was told that the university wanted to develop on the land where the factory stood. This was quickly met with resistance from Dr. and Mrs. Freeman, along with the people of Sheffield and celebrities. The factory was a part of Sheffield history and brought a sense of pride to the city, and people felt it should remain standing at all costs. When the development was postponed, it gave the company some well-needed time to consider their options. Although moving would be costly, it would give them the opportunity to expand as a company. This led to Henderson's Relish purchasing a large industrial unit close to the Sheffield Parkway, and they moved there in 2013, and it's where it remains today. This was one of Dr. Freeman's last tasks for the company. 1 month later, he sadly passed away at the age of 92. His wife Pamela was left in charge of the company. Their children are also very involved. The two of them, along with Pamela, were the only three to know the secret recipe up until 2022, when Pamela sadly passed away. The company has been left in the capable hands of the Freeman's children. Over recent years, Henderson's Relish has expanded. You can now find it in places like London and even overseas. Because the relish had such a local appeal for so long, many people have struggled with this. Matt Davis, Henderson's general manager, spoke about how the company has become so synonymous with Sheffield's identity. He said, "Henderson's is made in Sheffield. If something is made here, people know it. They feel they've got a connection to it. People in Sheffield feel like it's theirs." But times aren't like they were 100 years ago. The news of Henderson's Relish isn't just being spread through word of mouth down the pub or around the factories. It's been spoke about on social media, and people outside of Yorkshire are starting to become curious at what's inside this little bottle and why the people of Sheffield love it so much. And it's not just about the taste, although it is very nice. It's that the words on the bottle still ring true, strong and northern. Whether it's keeping the company as a family-run business for over 100 years, delivering their famous bottles to only one supermarket in the city and keeping things local. What makes this relish so special? It's because it's ours. It's because the owners throughout the generations have stood by their values many people from Sheffield have: loyalty, determination and tradition. This little bottle's been special for generations and will continue to be for generations to come.